that was an amazing answer. But I think one of the things that you touched on earlier was, you're a keen kind of rugby player, and I know that you played rugby regularly. In sports in general, the awareness of mental health is growing, and there are lots of sports individuals out there that have been impacted by mental health and just haven't have pretty much sat in silence for many years. But now they're coming out and just talking about, Johnny Wilkinson very recently came out and spoke about, mental health and how, leaving the sport kind of impacted him. What was the impact on yourself, or did you experience anything to do with mental health while you were playing or after you were playing?
Yeah, the Johnny Wilkinson, and I encourage anyone to listen to that. Someone who was at the top of his game, the High Performance Project, Johnny Wilkinson interview with Dan Walker, is hugely insightful. And that's someone you wouldn't know. And that's a common thing with mental health. It's not something you see visibly sometimes. But for me personally, yeah, I think you touch on a subject which I think a couple of my workforce probably saw me go through. Yeah, I played a bit of rugby in the past. Perhaps say it's about time to hang up my boots. But I think something that really resonated with me and kind of scared me almost was when I got quite a big injury. Tore, everyone has that story, ACL, MCL, tore that. And I've always been that person playing in various different levels, but playing rugby was my compass. It was almost, I found it as my identity. And when that was taken away from me, not on my terms, and then my Saturdays weren't structured around getting up and going to play a sport. My Sunday wasn't recovering and moaning about how sore I was. My Monday wasn't then talking in the office about my highlight reel or lying about how many tries I got. And then it's training Tuesday. That really was a struggling point for me. And then you kind of get obsessed into new things. People try and tell me to take up golf, but it wasn't the same adrenaline rush for me. Yeah, it was definitely something that was an awakening for me, and I was probably being open and tolerable to be around in that time. I couldn't comprehend what defined me if I couldn't play with the boys on a Saturday.
No, I think many individuals that are kind of advocates of playing sports are, have either gone through it during pre-COVID. It's probably been even more difficult during this COVID period, being in lockdown, not being able to exercise, or that drive and that motivation to kind of go out and get that fresh air on the field, for example. That impact for individuals has been pretty big in terms of, it's fatigued individuals, it's had an impact on their well-being, it's had an impact on their relationships at home, their work. If what advice would you give those type of individuals that, are really kind of advocates of sports, but they can't really play sports at the moment? What else would you tell them to do?
One, reach out. I think people are going through this. And even from this talk today, I encourage anyone who's spending their Friday evenings listening to this. I'm an open door policy and love to talk to people in general and support. But yeah, I think I'd class it as this, and I've read a book about this, being like an endorphin junkie and being addicted to that feeling you have after training. And I think bringing structure into that challenge. We're quite fortunate, I'll be honest, if we're talking to the UK audience. I have friends who have come from different countries and had different levels of lockdowns, but we're in an environment where we can still just get outside, go on that run. I know it's perhaps not a similar level of endorphin release as playing on a Saturday or meeting with your mates in a big group and playing, but really recognize that you need that and think about ways and methodologies to do that. I think you even touched on another part about the impact on relationships and partners. I'd encourage you to speak and know yourself and be aware of your challenges and be able to communicate to that housemate, that loved one, that parent, whoever you're living with. Like, I know I have to train or I have issues. So these are the things that you need to know. If I haven't been to the gym yet, probably give me 5 minutes before you ask me to do the washing up or something like that. So it's communication, I think, is the key, and openness in understanding what you would need. And that may require analyzing yourself, and something that people may not be comfortable doing. I certainly am the best I love analysing other people, but when it comes to analysing myself, it's something I'm very much shy away from. But being open, communicative, and recognising that there are things that you can do in a micro dose in the current climate.